welcome back to the channel. So this video is basically a follow-up video to the iPhone 12 Pro Max review that I carried out a couple of weeks ago. The iPhones have been selling like crazy over the last few weeks, and that's basically because Apple not only improved the Pro models this year, but they actually stepped up their game with the lower end iPhones, which is the iPhone 12 and the 12 mini, and they've given you a lot of Pro-based features onto the lower models as well. So in this video, I'm going to be covering some of my favorite iPhone 12 tips and tricks. These tips and tricks are basically not only for the iPhone 12 series, but for any older iPhone, as long as you're running iOS 14 in general. They're going to be useful for absolutely anybody out there. These are certain things that I really like as new features on the iPhones, and I think they're phenomenal. So let's get into it and let's check it out. So the latest software update that we have from Apple is iOS 14.3, where they have included support for these beauties, which are the AirPods Max. We're going to have them in the studio soon enough, and I'm going to do a full-blown review on these and an unboxing on these for you guys. Stay tuned. So the next tip is basically for Max iPhone users, especially the 12 Pro Max. As you can see, this phone is huge. And one of the drawbacks that comes with that is basically the fact that this phone is extremely hard to use for certain people who have smaller hands, especially when it comes down to pulling your notifications tab on the top left-hand side, as well as the control center on the top right-hand side. Now, one of the ways that you can actually overcome the phone being so large and you not being able to reach its edges is by basically using the accessibility feature that they've built into the iPhone this year. This is basically known as back tap. If you go into the accessibility settings, inside your settings menu, you're going to be able to find double tap or triple tap, where you can actually double tap or triple tap the back of your phone and create any shortcut that you want. As you can see, I've used the triple tap feature on my phone so that I can enable the notification center and pull down all the important controls and functions that I actually need at any given point in time. I think it's a really cool feature, and I think you guys should check it out yourselves. The triple tap, along with other reachability features such as pulling down on your screen on either side to bring down the icons on the top left, as well as bring down the widgets on the top left and top right, including accessing your notification center and controls at the same time, actually make a ton of difference. You can also go into your settings menu, get into control center and customize your control center just the way you like it. It's extremely easy to customize it, and you have a whole variety of options. You have the ability to change to low power mode, put a code scanner, an alarm clock, cameras, calculators, the home app, Apple TV, or any other app that you want. You can also add Shazam, which is one of the new features that they've added to Control Center this year, which basically means if you ever have a song that's playing out and you want to know what song it is, you can just pull down your Control Center, hit the Shazam tab, and get to know which song it is instantly. I think this feature has been added after Apple acquired Shazam and added it to Apple Music a couple of years ago. It's been a long time coming, but it's one of my favorite features, no doubt. Furthermore, long pressing on any of the controls within the control center will give you a haptic feedback and will also get you into a shortcut menu for any of those control options that you've actually put in there, which makes using this a lot more convenient than you would imagine. The way you receive phone calls on your iPhone has also changed with iOS 14. As you can see, it forms a tiny tab on the top of your phone and doesn't take up the entire home screen like it used to. You can push it away in order to silence it, and it's going to continue to ring on the top left hand side, giving you that icon, clicking on which will show you your phone call in full screen mode, and you can also minimize it. This is very useful for every iOS user out there, as you can continue to do any work that you were originally doing when you received a phone call, and it doesn't disturb your entire workflow. iOS 14 also brings you widgets and an app library at the end of your screen, which basically causes the iPhone to store all your apps and segregate them for you. You can also look at all your apps in list view. I don't really use this much, but it's there if you want to. Long pressing on any app also activates haptic touch, which also gives you the ability to take shortcut actions on any particular application that you want. Furthermore, you can also move more than one app at once and group them into a folder. The easiest way to do this is activate jiggle mode, click on the other app that you want to move, and you can actually move multiple apps together into a particular folder at any given point in time. I think this is really convenient because jiggle mode in itself is extremely annoying, and then when you have to move one app at a time, it gets really inconvenient to carry out this workflow. You see the three dots at the bottom of your screen? That basically lets you edit pages on your home screen. If you have a certain amount of apps that you want off your home screen, you can just deselect the page. And when you go back into your home screen after a certain point of time, you're going to see that you have only the page that you selected. All the apps that you deselected will be available in your app drawer. Now, in order to re-enable them, you basically go back into jiggle mode, hit the bottom icon with the three dots or the two dots on it, and enable the page. You can disable any amount of pages and get a completely clean iOS workflow as well. You could basically hide any photograph from your main photo library on iOS 13 as well as iOS 14. Once you go to the photograph and click on hide, it's going to move to a folder within your photos that's called hidden. Now what you can do in iOS 14 is by going to your settings menu and getting into photos, you can actually hide the entire hidden album and make it visible only when you want to. I think that's really great on the privacy front. Now iOS 14 has become a little bit more open source, where basically you can change the browser of your choice as well as your email client. Basically you download the app that you want to use, get into your settings, get into the app and set as default within the app settings. And now you can choose any browser, any email client, and I think this is something that a lot of people have always waited for, and now you have it. We've also received changes to the stock weather app on iOS 14, where you can monitor any city that you like and also get extremely detailed information about the weather on any particular day and any hour of that particular day as well. You also get information about the air quality, which right now in the world is extremely important. Furthermore, you can also click on the air quality menu and get extra information from Breezometer by going into their tabs, and you have a direct link for this where you get more detailed information about the city and the location that you're trying to track. You also get generalized information and precautions for people of all ages depending on the air quality and the pollution in the area. The Apple TV app has also received a tiny overhaul with iOS 14, where your search engines got a lot better, and there's a lot of separation between the type of TV shows that are available as well as the movies that are available on this. You have Apple Originals, which are by TV Plus, and you can also go into your search tab and you can find out various options based on genres, so it makes it a lot easier for you to browse through. Also, the addition of 4K HDR movies lets you take full advantage of that beautiful OLED display that you have. When you enter the Home app, you can enter Home settings and take a look at all the HomeKit enabled devices that you have. You can also check for software updates for each HomeKit enabled device, for example the HomePod, and the app is actually going to tell you whether your devices are up to date or not. Initially, this used to happen in the background. It was very hard to tell if you were running a software update or the latest firmware at any given point in time. The app has also got certain optimization tweaks, and it's a lot better than what it used to be. If you buy an iPhone in America, or you see an iPhone on the Apple American website, you're going to see this little band on the right hand side, which basically is for millimeter 5G wave connectivity, which you don't find on any of the phones that you find, especially here in India. That's because we don't have this technology yet, so don't worry about it. All the iPhones this year are built with a magnet at the back of the phone, which is circular, and you can see that the iPhone accessory, which is the Apple case that I have, also has this circle at the back of it. This is for the incorporation of MagSafe, and you have a whole bunch of accessories from different websites that basically now support MagSafe, which is Apple's new means of charging. It also has a pretty sweet animation, as you can see when you attach an accessory. Oh yeah, the wallpaper that I'm rocking is the new Icons wallpaper by MKBHD as well as D brand. It's pretty sweet. You have it in two color variants, black and red. I chose the red. Link in description. Speaking of great HDR wallpapers, I also want to tell you about my favorite wallpaper app, which is called Unsplash. It does a pretty great job even for iPad, so check it out. No, this video is not sponsored. I just seem to like a lot of the pictures that you get here, and it makes your phone look really, really nice. iPhones and iPads have got really good with mobile gaming of late because of the high graphic performance of the A-series chips that Apple's been pumping into them. The next feature is for our mobile gamers out there. Start a game that you want to play. Choose any game that you want from your folder that you have on your phone. After that, get out of the game. Head back to your control center. At this point, what you want to do is basically hit the screen record button. Choose whichever platform you want to directly record your screen for, including Twitch, and you also used to have the option for Mixer, which doesn't exist anymore. You can now record your screen with your microphone on, which basically means you can record your entire gameplay, including your voice, and stream directly to any preferred streaming site of your choice. I think this is really phenomenal, and I think any serious mobile gamer out there would really appreciate this. Another brilliant feature that's been added to Safari this year is the ability to take a screenshot of the entire web page that you're actually browsing. This helps with people to do a lot of research on their phone. Basically, when you take a screenshot, instead of choosing your screen, you can choose the full page. Now you can also mark up the web page that you were actually using and put any notes on it, and save this entire web page screenshot into your Files app by converting it into a PDF. I think this is extremely useful, and it saves you a lot of time. Now, when you look at your home screen, you can see that you can directly access the camera by long pressing the camera icon, and you can also access the flashlight on the home screen by long pressing the flashlight icon. Speaking of cameras, you can also just swipe to the right, and you can instantly access your camera without actually having to long press on the button. Also, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has 3 cameras, and any iPhone that you're using, if you're shooting in low light, you preferably want to use the main lens. As you can see, you can also directly record video by hitting the shutter button and dragging it towards the right. This is for quick clips in case you want to just shoot something for Instagram and not go into video mode immediately. With respect to the 12 Pro Max only, the ultra-wide lens has retained its original position on the right-hand side in the camera module, whereas the wide lens is now the lower lens and the telephoto lens has now been shifted on top. We're not sure exactly why Apple switched out the lenses for the 12 Pro Max in particular, but that's the new layout. If you get into video mode in your camera, you're going to see your camera actually shoots in 4K, 24, 30 and 60 frames per second, and in HD, 30 and 60 frames per second, but you're not going to be able to see any of the higher frame rate options right here. If you want to get to see higher frame rate options such as 120 frames or 240 frames, you actually have to get out of video mode and head to slow motion to see this. The next tip is with respect to storage of your photos and videos. You want to get into your settings into your camera. After that, you want to head up to your formats. Once you get into picture formats, you want to choose high efficiency. This lets you retain the quality of the image that you've taken but reduces the file size considerably, saving up a lot of space for you on your phone. On the 12 Pro models under high efficiency, you'll also see a toggle switch for Apple Pro RAW. Apple Pro RAW is Apple's new headlining and flagship feature for 2020 for the Pro models, and it's a new feature that's just been added in 14.3. Now, if you guys don't actually know what Apple Pro RAW is, it is the new Pro feature that Apple has actually put out only on the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max. You don't have this on all your phones. Pro RAW is basically a feature where you get the raw picture profile, which is the standard picture profile that a lot of professionals use on mirrorless and DSLR cameras, while adding the computational benefits of an iPhone. You also get a larger file size and a raw file format, which basically can be put into any editor. Raw picture profiles basically let the creator, the photographer, decide what the photograph is going to look like. After activating Pro RAW in the settings menu, you also get the option to switch on and off RAW while you're shooting in your live camera mode, and also all your pictures get saved in a special album called RAW. Furthermore, when you select a picture, you'll have the words RAW written on top so you can distinguish between RAW and a JPEG. Another tip for the camera is the inclusion of the PAL formats when you're shooting video. A lot of countries like India actually use 25 frames per second instead of 24 frames per second, and you can now toggle that on within the camera recording video format settings. The next tip is basically for video. You now have Dolby Vision Hdr, and we went over that in the iPhone 12 Pro Max review that I did a couple of days ago. You do have the option to switch on and off Dolby Vision Hdr. I love the feature, but I know a lot of people do not actually sit and edit their videos and they just want to capture memories. You can switch it off from the settings menu just like you could turn off Apple Pro RAW. Furthermore, when you shoot a clip in HDR, you're going to see when you open it up in your gallery, you're going to be able to see HDR right on top of the video. I think that's pretty great. It helps you decipher which clips are shot in which format. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that video on the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the latest iPhone tips and tricks that I just showed you. I think Apple has done a great job with software and hardware this year. The only features that actually don't work for any of the older phones would be Pro RAW and Dolby Vision HDR. Other than that, most of the other tips and tricks in this video that I've talked about should actually work. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit that subscribe button, comment on the video and let me know if you want to know anything special about iPhones, iOS. Thank you for watching another episode of Essential Tech, and I'm going to see you in the next one.